I'm typically talking about speaking with a larger group of people and trying to influence that group of people to accept or embrace an idea that you have. And I think just what I want you to think about with that is that when we're seeking to influence people, there's a spectrum of what kind of power we want to use in that influence tactic. And the spectrum is anything from positional power, which is I'm the boss, which means I can reprimand you, but it's clear that because of my position, I can make this request and ask you to do something. A lot of times, when we attempt to influence people from a position of power, at best what we're going to get is compliance. Rarely will we get what I would call embracing the idea, total commitment. So a lot of times if we're coming from a position of power, and you'll see in your notes how each of these different kinds of tactics are described, trying to pressure somebody to do something. Or even coalition is like when we say, okay, Ann, well, everybody else at your table is going to make a $50 contribution to this cause. You're on board, right? Okay, that's the idea of coalition, is that we kind of guilt people to do something by association. Again, at best you're going to get compliance. A lot of times you're going to get resistance. The other end of the spectrum is using personal power. Personal power is using things like storytelling, or using a personal appeal is using our personal relationship with somebody else. Or actually, just really a little bit of what Ann referred to when we were talking a minute ago, but consultation and actually asking people, well, how do you think that we should resolve this issue? Because then you're having a conversation, ideally more as peers, in a consultative kind of way, not I'm the boss and I'm going to make this decision. And the other thing to keep in mind is so these are what's called soft approaches, where we really tap into our personal power. And these are called hard approaches because it's more of our positional power. And somewhere in the middle is using logic. And believe it or not, even with people who tend to be logically oriented, rational persuasion, using facts and figures, rational persuasion is not nearly as effective as using storytelling and inspirational kind of things. Okay? Even if you're dealing with kind of the hardcore people you would tend to think of as being very linear, you still want to find ways to tell a story. Ann works at the Red Cross. I was at the Red Cross this morning at their breakfast, and Betsy Pratt, the CEO, was talking about her goal of having one person in every household in the Quad Cities trained to do CPR. And she said that, and I thought, oh, that's cool. And then she said 86,000 people, and I thought, okay, that's kind of cool. And then she said, imagine filling the mark of the, iWireless of the Quad Cities 7 times. That's how many people would be trained. So it wasn't until she said, imagine filling the mark 7 times, that I got a visual of how many people that is. So it was the ability to not hear the numbers, but to turn it into more of a visual that I could connect to, and that was just something that personally appealed to me. So finding ways to learn how to tell stories and use personal power, really important. Thank you all for a great session, and we hope to see you for our wrap-up on this series in